Yo, what's good, guys? We're back at it again with another MLB The Show video for you guys, and today I'm going to be updating some of my tier list with what I think is the best outfielders that you can be running currently in Season 3, pre-ranked update, pre-BR update, next Team Affinity update. This is probably more or less what we're going to have for the next week or so, barring some crazy unknown program like them dropping Extreme or something just out of the blue. So real quick before we get into it, if you do enjoy the content, if you want to stay up to date with the best cards in the game in general, any exploits, anything like that, just all things MLB The Show, this is the place to be. So feel free to like and subscribe. We're running it up all year. So first card on the list here, Alex Gordon. A card I'm not always the biggest fan of. Just kind of a slow outfielder that's good at a lot of stuff, but not great at anything. He's not the fastest. He has good reaction, but him not being the fastest kind of offsets that. Usually has a pretty good swing, but overall not the craziest stats. I think he's A tier if you want to use him at this point. He's fine. I don't think he's going to age particularly well when we start to get to better pitchers, and more specifically like Randy Johnson. I think Randy lefty against anybody is going to be brutal. But against a card with the stats like Alex Gordon has, probably going to be more so brutal. So not really a card I'm super interested in at the moment. Brett Phillips, definitely not a card I'm interested in. I'm thinking C tier. I might need a little stat review. He's like the first card you get in one of the newer programs, the Romantic About Baseball program or whatever it is. 56, 104, 60, 116 reminds me of, I think it was like a charisma one we got a year or two ago where you had to use him in the program, and he sucked and you didn't really want to use him. That's kind of what this one is. The max clutch is nice. The power against righties is nice. Not even really that great of a fielder though. Not one of my favorite cards of the year. Corbin Carroll, new lightning card, S tier easily. The reaction's not awesome, so he's not actually that insane defensively. 94 reaction, so I'm lying. I guess it's just more so the arm strength than the fielding that I wasn't super hyped about. But 94 reaction, 99 speed, the best defensive right fielder in the game if you leave him in right field. But you can also move him to center field with that good of reaction and that good of speed. But this is what I love right here. First pitch hitter, dead red, breaking ball. 109, 102, 116, 110. Does not make the arm strength team. Would have been very nice if he did, but it is what it is. But just kind of mediocre. For this point of the season where we're getting like 97s for the most part, for this to be a 99 overall free card that everybody can get, super nice. Has some very nice quirks. Kind of depends on how you feel about a swing. It's a lot better than it was last year. Still probably not my favorite. Craig, I want to put S tier. I think he has a top swing in the game. I think nobody really talks about the fact that Craig's swing is unreal. The problem is the power. The speed is fine. The reaction's fine. Yeah, he's going to be in the secondary. And probably not the best defensive center fielder if you do want to end up playing him there. But the swing's insane. His swing is awesome. We'll kind of see how the tier list develops. But for right now, he'd be one of my pick for outfielders if you're not wildcarding, guys. This is David Justice, just not an outfielder in my eyes. Just not very good defensively. You can see 79, 79, 45 speed is brutal. But he's a fine hitter and he has some really good hitting quirks. So he's more of a DH. If you want to play him in the field, I think he's more C tier, where that 45 speed's going to cost you a lot of runs. And if he has a good game, he'll make up for it with the bat. If he doesn't, he's going to be a net negative on your team. Not one of my favorite cards. Greg Vaughn, close to the same boat. Maybe not even quite the hitter, but also not quite as bad defensively. You can see 73 reaction, 50 speed. So potentially a little better. 88, 92 max power, and then 81 clutch. So yeah, I'd probably rather use Greg Vaughn just because he's faster and maybe has a better swing. I think they're kind of similar. They're probably both C tier where they're not ideal. I probably wouldn't use either. Hank, easy S tier inclusion. Low-key the best player here. It just kind of depends. Everybody tries to jam him. He's not opposite field tendency. I believe he's balanced. but he still has a swing that's pretty easily jammed, especially if you're facing guys with outlier, guys with hard sinkers, guys with hard sliders. He gets jammed, but he's still incredible. If you touch the ball with him and you have good timing, it's going to go a long way. Jackie, similar to Craig, very similar players. Stat-wise, they're almost identical. I think Jackie plays left. I don't think Craig can play left. I think Craig is restricted. No, so he can play left. He just can't play right. So Craig can play center. Jackie's stuck in left. They're both very good. I think Craig probably has a slightly better swing. It's really up to you. They're both going to have good quirks. They're both legends. I think they're both very solid. Jackie probably has more value at second base, but it is what it is. Vientos here, or no, Javier Sonoja. I was looking at that Mark Vientos card. I thought maybe he would have outfield, but he doesn't. So 116, 111, 66, 65, 115 clutch. Don't know why you would really use this card in particular. If you just want a fast, speedy, contact hitting outfielder, then you can. I think he's probably B tier because you can make the argument if you play at a high elevation park and you hit some perfects, he can still put the ball out and he's going to play a much better defense than all of these guys. So I'm fine with that. Not 100% sure what his swing looks like, but if you just want a pure defensive center fielder at this point of the season, I don't blame you too much, but probably wouldn't be my number one pick. Winker, 90 left, not really why you have him. 111 right, 67 left, 109 right, 120 clutch, absolutely god awful in the field, but has pinch hitter quirk. I would much rather him have like dead red and breaking ball quirk. I think all these guys are better to DH. I think Brett Phillips holds more defensive value than all of these guys. I think this Winker card, really no reason to have him unless you really want that pinch hitter quirk. But I'd rather have dead red or breaking ball. Johnsky Noel, not a card you probably want to play in the outfield. Does have crazy pop. Don't get it twisted. 114, 90, 125, 117, 101 clutch, 73 reaction, 65 speed. Not only is a better hitter than Justice and Vaughn, but he's also a better defender than them. So without a doubt, he's better than both of those. If you just want a guy that hits nukes, he's probably better off as like a DH or even a first baseman, but leaving him in his primary right field, he's not the worst player in the world either. This Johan card is hard to rank. He's like a home run derby card, relatively low contact, relatively low clutch, really good power, not bad defensively. 78 speed, 92 fielding, 87 reaction. You're probably not playing this card in center field, probably move him to a corner spot. He's usable. You can see he makes the Brandon Lau team. He makes the Giancarlo team. No others of real mention. If you want Aaron Kershaw, if you want wild card Verlander, he makes those. But I don't think it really tears his card up at all. So he's fine. It's whatever. If you want to run him, you can run him. I think he's more in this like Johnsky tier. I hope I'm saying that right. Then he is like Alex Gordon. Alex Gordon is like, yeah, maybe not on a God squad, but if you want to run him, you can run him. He's still a high level option. Don't really think Johan Santana is that. John Singleton goes in this like DH tier. It's a DH that is a lefty that hits lefties better than righties. Not my favorite card in the world. This Chris Bryant, probably B. You can use him up until Legend probably and still get away with it. But 102, 98, 111, 104, you might be thinking to yourself, that seems pretty decent. As Chris Bryant, he has Chris Bryant swing, which is always a pretty good swing in the game. And then you come down to this number right here. 80 clutch is brutal. Keep in mind, if you play him in the outfield, he's also going to be worse defensively than what's on this card. Definitely usable on All-Star. Usable on Hall of Fame, to where you can probably get away with. Would not touch this card on Legend. Which, you can say that for a lot of these cards, but him in particular. Schwarber, he is basically David Justice and Greg Vaughn. If they just hit way better. He's going to be terrible defensively. He's going to be way better as a first baseman or a DH. This card does not have catcher. 70 reaction, 36 speed. But with him, you have the Yordan Alvarez argument, where his offense might be so unreal for you that it completely offsets the fact that he's going to have some poor range. He's not going to get to some foul balls. He's going to let some balls drop in front of him. He's going to, get those reach up animations where he's running backwards and the ball hits off his glove. All that's going to happen with this Schwarber card, but he might just hit enough nukes to kind of offset it. So I think he's A tier. At first base, definitely can argue S tier, but in the outfield, I don't think it's an argument. This Mo card, I'm going to need a refresher on the stats. I think he could be viable somewhat. 95, 91, 83, 81, 93 clutch. Mediocre fielding, not super fast. So in my eyes, he's just a worse version of that Johan Santana card, where he's probably not as bad as all of these guys, but also he's not going to have the bat that these guys have, and he's not that great defensively. In a corner spot, he's fine, but in general, not a huge fan. That Bernie Williams swing, I can personally tell you, is not nearly as good when you're having to hit same hand. It's a lot better on a switch hitter. Lorenzen, I think when you just, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. This one's going to be divisive. I think it depends on how much you like his swing. I'm not 1,000,000% sure what his swing is. I like it. It feels fairly decent to me. He's played really well for me, but you got to keep in mind that's on the O'Neill Cruz team boost where he just has max power and is a home run derby card with like 105, 110 contact. I like him. I like him on the Cruz team. He's disgusting in center field. He's like 6'2", 6'3", and he's got like 92 speed with no parallels, with really good reaction and really good arm strength. At base, I probably wouldn't run this card in center field. I think he has like 87 speed. So overall, I think it depends. With the boost, S tier. Without the boost, probably A tier. Probably not one of your top end options, especially not if you're on those higher difficulties where you kind of want more contact than what he has. And he doesn't really have the power to offset that. Mickey Moniak, probably similar to like this Phillips, or if you really want to use him, you can. 82, 112, 70, 113, 108 clutch, and decently defensive. Decent defensively, I should rephrase that. 88 speed, 80 reaction. More than, serviceable in the outfield, probably above average for this point of the season. But he just doesn't hit lefties great. So I think he's similar to like a Mo, where if you want to use him, you can use him. But for me personally, I prefer some other guys. This Trout in center field might sound crazy. Might set kind of a crazy precedent. But he can play it, and he plays it at a halfway decent level. It's similar to like playing like a Trey Turner in center field. Earlier in the season, if you were one of those people, or earlier in the year, I should say, if you're one of those people that played Jimmy Rollins in center field, it's a similar experience to that, where sometimes the reaction's kind of bad, but the 99 speed more than makes up for it. The fact that he has Mike Trout's swing makes up for it. But overall, it's probably not better than just running the best cards in the game at that position. Nolan Ryan, I actually really enjoy. Has Jorge Posada swing. I don't think he's a bad option. Probably wouldn't run him in center field unless you're also running him on the O'Neill Cruz team. But as a corner outfielder, can't really go wrong with him. As a first base, he's not a terrible option at this point. But I think there's definitely better options. O'Neill Cruz, absolutely putrid defensively, I believe. But he is really tall. So it's basically really fast Aaron Judge in the outfield. You can see here 62 reaction, 93 speed, and he's going to be in the secondary position in the outfield. So not ideal. If you're batting this guy against lefties, that's going to suck for you on any difficulty past All-Star. Hall of Fame, 52 contact lefty. If you are facing a left-handed reliever or starter and they're just spamming away sliders, that's not going to be a fun experience for you. But maybe as like a DH, and you pull them if there's a lefty pitcher on the mound for a switch hitter or somebody that you're more than comfortable hitting with righty-righty in the future, not a bad idea there. But 52, 108, 104, 108 with 86 clutch. So All-Star, great card. Can't really ask for too much more. Hall of Fame plus, you're probably not running this card anymore, especially not in the outfield. Paul O'Neill, I think he's just under that S tier. I think he's a better Lorenzen. I don't know. That's probably a bad comparison, but Really good contact guy, not bad power by any means. Maxed out clutch, but he's just not a great defender. 70, 64. He's going to struggle. You're going to pretty much have to leave him in that primary of right field. I just think there's better options. I don't think this card's going to age particularly well. If you do enjoy Paul O'Neill and he is one of your favorite players, your better course of action is probably moving him to DH. But it's not a bad card by any means. It's just he doesn't really do everything like these guys in S tier do. Randy, not my favorite card in the world. Statistically, I have to put him in B tier. I don't really want to, but I have to. Statistically, this card's nasty. He has good reaction. He's a good fielder. He's just very slow, but he is kind of tall, which helps offset that. But statistically, the card hits nukes. It's just his swing sucks. He's very tall. It's going to be hard for people to use his strike zone. But if you're on All-Star or if you're on Hall of Fame and somehow you enjoy that swing and can time up stuff, he's probably going to be pretty good for you. Probably not messing with these guys in A tier. Definitely not touching S tier. But he's not a bad option. This Ricky is not this Ricky. It's going to be the 99 Ricky because I'm just figuring there's going to be quite a few people that watch this after that card is attainable. I imagine we're getting very close. I haven't counted the exact number, but people should be able to pick their bosses relatively soon. Statistically, this Ricky blows Jackie out the water, blows Craig out the water, and should blow Corbin Carroll out the water, but it's the swing. It all depends on the swing. I personally hate Ricky Henderson's swing. A lot of people do. So I would be careful with that. Maybe go on some custom practice if you're thinking about taking him as your first pick. I think you're crazy for taking him over maybe the best Lou Gehrig and the best Randy that we've ever got. But that is your prerogative. Clemente, I'm going to need to check his stats. I think he's S tier. Should be gross defensively. 80 speed, 95 reaction, 99 arm, 98 fielding, 125 clutch, max contact, 90 power. So, base, he is a slower version of Biggio and Robinson. But if you put him on the arm accuracy team, he's an absolute monster. So I think he's probably somewhere around here without the arm accuracy team, and he's probably like right here on the arm strength team. I keep saying that. We had that Mookie from last year that was arm accuracy. If you put him on the arm strength team, the O'Neill Cruz team, probably a top of S tier option. Same for this Raleigh Fingers. He's probably not top of S tier. It just kind of depends on what swing he has. I have not personally used the card, so I'm not 1,000,000% sure. But if he has a halfway decent swing with the stats he'll get on the O'Neill Cruz team, probably middle to top of S tier for this Raleigh Fingers isn't crazy. The downside of this is I'm not sure if you can have the other one in your bullpen, which is not a bad option at all if you are wild carding that card. But he should be an absolute stud. Even without the Cruz team, he still looks very good. He basically has like 105 plus in every hitting stat. So a very good card there. Roy Halladay. This card's very similar to Mo in my opinion. Mediocre fielder. Not my favorite swing in the world. And just kind of mediocre hitting stats. Not really my favorite. I think I prefer running all these cards over him. You may look at like Javier, but like a defensive center fielder. You may look at Bryant, but I think his swing's better. And then Cruz absolutely crushes righties. But realistically, if you want to argue Cruz C tier, he probably is. He probably is. He's probably not on par with a lot of these other guys. Slamming Sammy Sosa. A little underwhelmed when I saw this card. New chase card that we got. First pitch, dead red, no breaking ball. Is what it is. 104, 110. So, this good contact. It's not bad by any means, especially for this point in the season. Once the 99 overall pitchers come out with 115 plus hits, it might get a little on the low end, but even then, you're probably fine on most difficulties other than Legend. And then you've got 117 power left, 125 power right, 106 clutch. Where I'm disappointed with this card is the reaction and the speed, because traditionally, when Sammy Sosa comes out, that is the best defensive right fielder in the game, period. This one isn't that. 83 reaction, 75 speed. Even if you do run him on the O'Neal Cruz team, which he does make, just not really the most insane Sammy Sosa, but hitting wise, no problems with him. Just kind of how do you like his swing? I like it more than Ricky's. I don't know Raleigh's. I think it's somewhat equivalent to like Jackie Robinson, and I may like it more than like Clemente's, but I think that's kind of my ranking for those players. McClanahan, more of a DH, not really somebody you want in the outfield, and also more of like a home run derby all-star type player. 80 contact left, 84 right, 101, 104. I do enjoy his swing. I think his swing is pretty good, but he's a below average fielder and doesn't really have the contact to hang past like all-star. And then our last player, Yanier Diaz, fine card. If you want to run him in the outfield, I can't really argue with you, but I just personally wouldn't. 101, 106, 105, 74 is a little sketchy. 120 clutch though, and 99 arm strength with 72 reaction, 59 speed. It's iffy. I think I'll drop him a little bit just because the defense isn't that great and the bat isn't like a Kyle Schwarber. The defense is better than Schwarber. The bat's worse than Schwarber. I think that just makes him a worse player than Schwarber. And yeah, that is our current outfield rankings as of 9/13. As of the content drop, let me know what you guys think. I don't think I missed anybody super major. I'm hoping I didn't. But with so many out of position cards, it's kind of hard to go over them all. Till next time, peace.